Are we good to go?
Yes, we are recording.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Blue Venture Builder Africa webinar. I'm Wayne Murphy, one of the founders of Hatch. We're excited to talk to the audience today and potential applicants about the upcoming program and what's going to be involved as we look to build and support new innovations and new initiatives in the blue economy. And we're really excited, along with our partners, OceanHub Africa, to be facilitating an initiative that's going to hopefully bring some really smart, ambitious, passionate people together to use their background, their intellect, their knowledge and expertise to hopefully bring a new technology or a new idea to fruition, and ultimately, from our perspective, for that innovation or technology to get out there into the market and make the impact that we all wanted to have in producing more gorgeous, tasty, sustainable seafood and protein. So that's my introduction. From a Hatch perspective, we've been working for the last 6 or 7 years, mostly investing in early stage aquaculture related technology companies. We've raised over $100 million in our funds to continue to invest in that sector. We've invested in over 50 plus technology firms around the world that are all focusing on creating and delivering really interesting solutions for the global aquaculture sector. On behalf of the work that I do within Hatch, I also I'm involved in delivering a suite of different innovation programs and acceleration programs that, ultimately look to find, support, develop, and nurture those early stage companies and entrepreneurs and teams to hopefully get them to market as successfully as possible. With me on the call today is Praskovia Lando, our project manager for the Blue Venture Builder program, and Sarah Carner, all the way in exotic Hawaii this morning, who takes care of all our marketing initiatives for our program activity. So maybe Praskovia, just give yourself a quick introduction, and Sarah too.
Sure. Hi, everyone. As you've heard, I'm Praskovia Lando from Kenya. And as a project manager, my role involves facilitating and working with you and anyone involved in the Blue Venture Builder program through the application process and also through the implementation process. So at any point, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Great. And Sarah.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. Like Wayne said, I'm joining you from Hawaii. I have been with Hatch for a year doing marketing. So any communications thus far that you've seen regarding this program have mostly been made from me and with the help of Praskovia and of course OHA. Really excited for this program. This is awesome. Hatch is in a brand new region and we're stoked to be here. So thanks for the amazing turnout, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Okay, guys, what I think suggests the context of this session today. I have a brief presentation I'll share about the program. I'm really pleased to share we've already had quite a number of questions ahead of the webinar that we'll be able to cover off. I'm hoping this will be maybe a 20+ minute presentation, and then we can go to Q&A. Any questions that you may have about the upcoming activities for the program, or anything about it that you're not too clear on. Let's make sure that we cover those today. So this Blue Venture Builder Africa, I guess locally from an African context, and indeed globally, I believe there's no shortage of capital for investing in really good ideas. But what we are short of are investable deal flow propositions in terms of companies that are on the right track, that have got some traction, got a great team together to be able to execute on their potential. Those kind of companies are limited in every investment sector. So the idea behind this with our partners GIZ who are funding this, and also our partner on the ground, OceanHub Africa, is to facilitate and bring together people from various different backgrounds, skill sets, regions, cultures, and just to have a really diverse group of people and getting them in one room together, where, you know, they can start to iterate and you know, ideate in terms of, you know, real live solutions for challenges within the blue economy, within the African region, but to think local but act global, and build investable, scalable, sustainable solutions and companies going forward. So that's the ultimate idea, and I'll take you through a little bit of that in a second. But so we're for any, as a venture capital firm investing in companies, I think you will all be well aware of the various different things that investors talk about that they look for in scalable, exciting startup companies. And, you know, the team is everything. And when you are a startup, the only credibility that you have perhaps is your either passion or your deep domain expertise in the sector or your background that you've been working on. You may not have any experience of you know, driving a business forward or raising money. So there are key things that are really important to be visible and available for anybody interested in investing in any proposition, and that's the collection of the people that are involved and how they work together, how they communicate, you know, how diligent they are, how they learn from their mistakes. And these are all characteristics of a successful company. And in doing that, you know, this initiative, this Venture Builder initiative, we're looking for those different backgrounds, those different types of people, the financial people, the entrepreneurial people, the deep domain expertise guys and girls, the scientists, the researchers, you know, to try and pull all those skill sets together to form a company, to focus an idea that will take forward and hopefully will ultimately raise money. So that's just a quick introduction. Sorry, Sarah, my slides won't move on. There we are. And in relation to the partners here, as you can see, OceanHub Africa, they've got a lot of experience of startup in relation to the African region. 32 ocean-based startups supported to date. They work within 28 countries within Africa. You know, 80% of the companies they work with have raised money, which is awesome, and a number of jobs grown and growing. So that kind of work on the ground and network and experience is critically important to us in terms of, you know, building success, helping to build successes there with OHA. And in addition to that, from a Hatch perspective, we have a global reach with locations where we're based: Hawaii, Ireland, Norway, Singapore, and you know, we do a number of programs globally. So we can take to this initiative a lot of global experience in terms of ideas and companies and technologies and challenges that we can hopefully illuminate some of the bright guys and girls that will be joining the program, in terms of giving them honest, really accurate, intelligent feedback in terms of for them navigating their way in terms of building a successful, viable business. The objective, ultimately, we want to build 3 to 5 investable, scalable companies out of what's going to be a mix of 30 to 40 people, and we'll make up those teams. I'll explain that to you in a second. But the real objective is to support and accelerate the development of tech ventures. And we've been doing this from an accelerator perspective for the last 7 years, where, you know, we not only invest in companies, but we also surround them with the right kind of people, with knowledge and expertise, the right kind of networks that can open doors to allow them to get traction, and also the right kind of advice in terms of making sure that they've got a smart plan, they understand their competition, they really understand their market, and ultimately they're providing a solution that the customers want. And we've got a lot of experience in working with, I don't know, at this stage, a couple of 100 companies where, you know, we've gone through that iteration time and time again. But, you know, we want to provide access to resources, domain experts, you know, potential investors, of course, but you've got to get your project investor ready, right? Nobody's going to be handing you money unless you've got and built something that is going to be, that has potential, and you can convince people that it has potential. And we'll be able to take you through some of those insights and experience that we have. But networking with resource providers will there be a lot of people around this program, obviously potential funding for the right projects and people that are building these startup initiatives, access to domain experts, certainly. If you want to really understand the feed market for catfish in different parts of Africa, or looking at salmon production, or whatever it is that your technology is going to focus on, we will be able to supply and put you in front of people who can add value to you. And then, of course, is this thing of building a business in the blue economy. It's no different than building a business in any economy, but I think what we find with our programs typically is that it's probably going to be the first place where you're going to talk very specifically with people who have experience in this particular sector, which is quite unique. This is a really, really important slide, and this is where Praskovia and I particularly are really focusing on right now as the application process continues. In experience, this is the entrepreneur first model here in terms of what constitutes a really balanced company. Now, there's no real blueprint to it. There's a lot of external factors that, can dictate the outcomes of companies. And some of that is luck, some of that is timing, some of that is just, first come, first served. There's a whole variety of different reasons for success for any startup or technology firm. But typically, you have a couple of different types of characters and backgrounds and expertise and personalities. And, you're looking at the hacker, the hipster, the hustler, and the scientist. And just to explain those, the hacker are typically quite technical people. If you're building a technology around sensors, you want to make sure that you've got somebody in your team who really understands that technology and knows what they're doing in terms of building it. Or if you're building a platform, a technical platform, or AI, or blockchain, or whatever technology, your machine learning, you really want to make sure that you've got deep domain expertise in your team that can answer to that and represent that part of the business. The hipster, in terms of obviously looking at the design of the product, the user experience, really understanding the customer. Those people are the ones that are really, really critical in making sure that your product looks really good. Your presentation to the market looks really, really on point. The hustler then, of course, is the marketing person, the business growth expert, the one that's going to get out there into the market and talk to customers and just be the one that's going to drive the revenue opportunities, but also to understand the financial side of it in terms of building a proper financial model. All these kind of backgrounds are critical. The scientist also, in terms of blue tech, there's, as many of you who will know on the call today, biology plays an important part of some parts of the aquaculture space and the blue economy. So having someone who has got deep domain expertise in terms of research in a certain species or a certain sector, that person is important. So this is the mix of people that we're looking for this boot camp that's going to be held in May. And right now, Praskovia and I are going through the process of those initial interviews to, get a sense of dividing up those hustlers, hackers, and hipsters and scientists, and with a view to building a team, a compatible team with the right kind of resources, expertise, passion, ambition, and wherewithal to actually, build something cool. But what we found, and it's not just endemic in Africa, but around the world, too often, people stay in their own lane or don't expose themselves to kind of other global thinking or global networks. So we're hoping to, put a poke or stab a kind of a hole in that in terms of opening up people's thinking about looking at how stuff is done in different regions. And, stimulating insight and discussion and exploration of, you know, just how you guys can get an idea to market. And we're looking to surround those backgrounds, those hipsters, hackers, hustlers, and scientists with the right kind of guys and girls, the people, the mentors, the networks, the industry, to enable you to, you know, hopefully get on the right track from the beginning, and an accelerated track. So, you know, when we talk to you, we will be specifically looking to, you know, put you in a certain category, and then we'll make some decisions in terms of that matchmaking process, which I'll cover off in a little bit. So specific details, I covered a lot of this off, guys, in the presentation I did in Cape Town a number of weeks ago at the Ocean Innovation Africa conference. The first phase, the application phase, ends the end of March. And that's going to lead to phase 1, which is the kickoff, which is cited to be a on-site boot camp for 10 days in Cape Town from the 2nd to the 11th of May in OHA's offices. It's a really cool space that will facilitate, I think, the right kind of environment, physical environment for people to, you know, be creative, and plenty of space for you to, you know, go and have meetings with your teams, go and, you know, do your research and thinking around, you know, at the end of those 10 days, having the best and the most amount of work done that is going to set you on a track to hopefully building something that, you know, people are going to have an interest in, and a technology that's going to get to see the market. Following that initial boot camp, guys, which, as I said, will be surrounded by a lot of mentor sessions, a lot of ideation conversations, a lot of insight with allocated mentors, and time spent with the Hatch and OHA team, along with GIZ. We're going to, after that, go through a phase of validation. And this includes 7 checkpoints where we're going to check in the progress of your chosen kind of technology idea or business idea, with a view to keeping it moving forward. And those check-in touch points are really critical in terms of our evaluation, in terms of where your technology is going, how it's progressing, how the team is developing, and just really making sure that everything is on track. And then at the end of that phase, and I do have a timeline slide a little later, we're going to go into phase 3, which is really the acceleration stage. These are the potential 3 to 5 companies that, you know, really have, like cream rising to the top, are the ones that have made the most progress, have the likelihood of succeeding most. The team have gelled well. They know what they're doing. They're organized. They've got a really a lot of traction going, and they're the ones that we ultimately want to try and ultimately focus our attention and support on, with a view to raising money, connecting them with industry, and so forth. And that goes up to the end of September. And then, you know, this project finishes around the end of October, where we'll hopefully be presenting these final phase companies to investors, and to see where they can potentially raise money and go further. And then there's a period of post-program support, obviously, with Praskovia on the ground. She will be the touch point regionally for all of you in terms of any questions and any things that are required, any kind of questions or connections that are needed. Both Praskovia and myself will be available for that. So that's the boot camp element of it, and phase 2 and 3. Next up, you know, why join? Why do you want it? Why would you want to join? I see a lot of applications so far, and we've received a couple of hundred already, which is awesome. You know, some people aren't there. They are coming with problem statements, and some have ideas that are already they've been working on or been wanting to work on for some time, but maybe never had the wherewithal or the opportunity to explore it. And I think why we would want people to join this particular program is, yes, with an idea of their own, or that they have a passion for the blue economy. And it's great to see some of the applications that Praskovia and I have gone through, that without doubt there was a huge passion for the blue economy, for sustainability, for community environments and all over Africa, to bring value and support more sustainable production of seafood, and to support that those communities that are producing seafood. So there's a lot of passion for the sector. Some people are coming in with their own ideas, as I said, but we will be coming with certain problem statements in terms of particular bottlenecks, maybe that you as teams, when we allocate you into teams, may have the background and wherewithal and intellect and passion to try and solve a particular problem, but obviously guided with the right kind of insights and the right kind of people that can enable you to explore those challenges. But after that period of time, I guess it is an opportunity for many to be involved in a program where all we talk about is the blue economy. All we talk about is sustainability. All we talk about is, the fisher, aquaculture, farming community, and in addition to other areas of the blue economy, of course. But it's very focused on this sector, and I'm hoping that that specialized focus will enable those people who have no aquaculture or no blue economy experience, but they want to get involved, that they'll be able to tap into the insight and the knowledge and expertise that they will need to contribute in a very positive way. And just on typical makeups of our cohorts previously, 40 to 50% of them have no aquaculture or blue economy background at all. They're coming into it, with a computer science background or data analytics or genetics or whatever. They might necessarily have any expertise in seafood or the blue economy, but they've got a special skill set, and they're the kind of people that I'm very excited to be meeting. Those hackers and hustlers and hipsters, those guys and girls who have really important backgrounds and skills, and to bring them to our industry, which has a lot of challenges. And bringing that kind of talent and attracting top talent to the sector is one of certainly our missions over the last 6 or 7 years. But at the outcome of that, there has to be something in it for you in terms of a viable, competent, ambitious output in terms that can provide you with an income, you and your team with revenue opportunities, and obviously as you grow it, your families and your community, etc. So there's a lot of people that are going to be dependent on the outcomes of these next 6 to 8 months, with you guys building what will hopefully be really world-class blue economy ventures. And those that are selected finally, they will get to pitch to investors. We will help with that, of course, in terms of focusing on the right things. Really pleased that you're going to have access to the OHA team, who have immense knowledge of the sector, particularly in the African context. Obviously, we can bring a more global perspective to it, so you get the best of both worlds. And our team, the team with OHA, with Alexi and Tando and Tom and the rest of the crew, they're very excited about what's going to be happening over the coming months and the kind of work that you guys hopefully will produce, and how we can help make the best of that. And then, of course, why join? There's a lot of you asking questions about, how can I contribute in a way that has a meaningful impact on my community? And I think our job in terms of driving this initiative is to couple those unique skill sets, with a particular business solution for the sector. And that's the kind of work that we're going to be doing over the course of the application process, certainly in selection process, but also when it comes to the boot camp itself and getting the right people in the right teams connected to each other. And that's going to be, I think, a very interesting process. Focus technologies and geographic focus is easy here. We're looking for applications from 7 countries, from Angola, Kenya, Madagascar, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, and Tanzania. To date, we've had applications from all, with Kenya leading the way. So we'd urge anybody that's outside of Kenya, those other regions, there's a really good chance you have a slot on the program, because we want a really diverse group of people. So please, those who haven't completed your application or haven't applied yet, please be sure to do that quickly, because we're doing this on a first come, first served basis. So the sooner you get your completed application in, the better. And then in terms of the kind of areas and sample, areas for providing solutions, typically when people think of aquaculture in the context of aquaculture, people often think of fish farms or oyster farms or seaweed farms. But when I think of aquaculture or the blue economy, typically I think genetics, I think obviously blue carbon, I think health and pharma, I think financial services, I think incredibly deep tech, technological solutions to the challenges in the sector, and within what is such a niche industry or sector, there are so many applications and so many technologies that are super exciting, and they're the kind of ideas and solutions that we'll be digging into, and those that have a healthy understanding of the market along with a potential solution, we'll be very eager to try and see how we can help develop that. But there's quite an array of different, this is not an exhaustive list here, but there's a lot of other ideas that we will be looking to focus on also, but this is just an example. And the whole idea of regenerative aquaculture and ocean conservation, climate mitigation, these, as we're all aware, are very topical areas for challenges to be overcome. And the blue economy and the ocean, as we all know, is going to play a very important part in that. So if any of you out there have ideas specifically around those, we're very excited to engage with those and see how we can support them. So just coming to the end here, what we're really looking and working towards, we're looking to have 30 to 40 individuals in Cape Town for this boot camp, who are very passionate about building a sustainable business in the blue economy. Looking at the applications, there's no shortage of people with passion, but we want the right ones with the right skill sets that can actually succeed in building a viable venture going forward. And that's how we're going to measure the success of this. For phase one and that trip to Cape Town, there is some financial support in terms of covering flights and accommodation, and a per diem for food every day. So, we've got a lot of work to do logistically to get those 30 to 40 people to Cape Town. There is support for that. I will remind you, and this has come up on calls already, if you haven't got a passport, guys, and you need a passport, and you will need a passport for entry into Cape Town, it's going to be very difficult to get you in, no matter how amazingly experienced and talented you are. If you haven't got a passport to enter South Africa, the likelihood is you will not be able to be part of this. So I'm just putting that out there. Existing teams and companies are also encouraged to apply. So, we're not just looking to company build or venture build in terms of a problem statement surrounding that with smart people and with the requisite backgrounds and skill sets. If people already have an idea that they've been working on for a little while, and they'd like to partake in this to get that kind of support, we'd also welcome those kind of projects, because at the end of the process, we want 3 to 4 viable entities that can go on and do great things. So we'll certainly encourage those kind of projects also. The successful individual applicants will partake in a matchmaking process, and that's going to be on the basis of Alexi and his OHA team and Hatch and our team and GIZ, really looking at the kind of backgrounds and the level of skills and backgrounds that the applicants have, and hopefully matching them with the right kind of people to build the characteristically strong partnerships that any successful venture needs. Existing teams, early stage businesses will be considered for selection, as I said. Problem statements will be provided. for those groups that are coming together without an idea, but they've got the skill set and they want to work on something that has potential. And then, you know, you will have access to a whole host of different people from different backgrounds who will talk to you about financial modeling, will talk to you about strategy, will talk to you about marketing, will talk to you about, you know, the landscape market in terms of competition and market opportunity, all those things that are needed, that market intelligence that you need in terms of figuring things out. We should have, if not on site, but certainly within our global network, we'll have all of those kind of potential supports for our teams. Phase 2 will involve virtual sessions. Is more, we go to on a hybrid stage to further drive the traction and development of your idea and your traction of your progress. And then the phase 3, as I said earlier, will be 4 to 5 teams chosen to pitch to investors and, you know, kick on further with more supports. So it's going to be, you know, although it's over 6-7 months, I can promise you it's going to be over before we know it in terms of that end phase and getting to that, with a lot of work to be done in the interim. Some people will ask, and I'm kind of guessing ahead in terms of this question, a time commitment piece. And it's a kind of a subjective one for me. Certainly the boot camp phase, it's 10 full days straight in Cape Town, where every day we're going to have you know, different kind of activities going on, including farm visits. For those who have never visited an aquaculture or a farm of any sort, we'll look to facilitate that. So that's 10 days solid, 9 to 5, you know, working on the business, building the team, you know, ideating and mapping out a plan over the preceding or the following, 6 months of activity. Phase 2 is hybrid, 7 checkpoint sessions, you know, looking at the validation progress, looking at your traction, you know, looking at the various different pieces of work and milestones and KPIs that have been set. Now, when I put in 10 hours a week, folks, you know, for any of you that have built a business before, I think, you know, you will be very cognizant that it takes a lot of work to get anything off the ground. You know, I'd easily say 40 hours a week, but you know, I can't dictate to people, you know, how much effort or time they're going to put into this. But you know, if you really want this to work, it's going to take your heart and soul to make anything happen. And anybody that I know that has built a successful entity is taken every ounce of effort and time that they have to build something. You know, and then going on to phase 3 in terms of the work that's needed for the 3 or 4 people in the team, how many hours per week? Guys, I'm leaving that to you. But honest, intelligent effort is always rewarded. And if you put the time and effort in, you'll get the results. If you don't, you won't. It's as simple as that. So maybe that kind of covers off any questions around time commitment. It's not school that we're running. You know, this is an initiative that is looking to support guys and girls who have an entrepreneurial flair, that are looking to create a really viable solution for the blue economy. And anything that's worth doing takes a lot of hard work, which I'm sure you'll all agree. This is the penultimate slide. You know, if you look at where Hatch is in that, you know, early stage valley of death piece, you know, you're at the very, very beginning of that axis, you know, unless you've got an idea which is maybe further along. But that kind of Hatch slot there in the middle is where we're interested in getting companies to and getting them up and running, to get them to a stage where, you know, they're taking off and they're potentially investor ready. So that's it for me in terms of covering off what's going to be happening in a very brief presentation over the next 6-7 months. Please feel free to, you know, apply. There's the QR code there online. If you haven't seen it yet, please take note. Applications need to be in by the 29th of March. So please be quick to do that. It is on a first come, first served. And those that have already submitted an application, but you haven't completed it, we will not be considering you if you haven't completed the application. And there's quite a number of those who went in, had a look, and just haven't completed. So I urge you to go and do that, because as soon as that's done, Praskovia and I will be speaking to you, and your chances of getting access to this program will obviously increase. So I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully that was a broad synopsis of what we're going to be doing. I'm very excited to see, how this turns out with if the applications are anything to go by, and some of the people that Praskovia and I have met. The amount of talent out there is amazing, and we're really, really pleased to be part of building, real solutions in that region. And we'll see what comes out of it. So maybe Sarah, Praskovia, for questions. I know we've had some questions in before the webinar. Maybe we can go to that.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for submitting your questions. We did get quite a bit of feedback on where we could clarify some things. One of the top questions was concerning visas. Which countries need visas?
Yeah, good question. I think that's something that we've been working on. We haven't got the full list yet, but I think, was it yesterday? I think is it Tanzania, Praskovia? There's no requirement for a visa, but we will be posting, guys, and info on that. But you should all probably have checked what visa requirements you have to getting into South Africa anyway. That responsibility is yours to make sure that you've got a passport and the relevant visa, but we will post maybe somewhere around what countries need visa. There's only 7 countries that can apply to this program. So, go make your local inquiries, but we will look to provide the details around that. And we're working on that already.
Another question concerning costs are, and you did cover this, but maybe you could reiterate what costs are covered.
Sure. GIZ very kindly. I mean, when you build any kind of initiative, one of the or try and start something off the ground, one of the most difficult things is people who have really smart ideas, trying to remove any financial stumbling blocks in the way of them, potentially fulfilling their ambitions. So GIZ were very astute and kind in terms of supplying funding for return flights for people to Cape Town and back to where they came from. Also to include accommodation for the 10 days that they will be in Cape Town. And then a per diem daily for them to buy dinner or food or whatever way they want to spend it on taking care of themselves. So all those costs are covered. Any other ancillary costs, guys, in terms of, we will be visiting different locations like farms, so there will be buses and local transport laid on. But anything outside of that, guys, is down to you. We're covering the majority of all the costs, so there should be very little, if any, financial burden on you in terms of joining the program. And I think I would like to think that the program is going to be worth your time and effort also.
Next question, which we did cover, but just so I can title it with the YouTube video for the chapters. Which countries, if you want to go over once again, are...
Okay, I always miss one, but it's Angola, Madagascar, Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa, Namibia, and there's one other.
Mozambique.
I've always been able to get to 6. The 7th one always eluded me. Thank you, Praskovia.
I wanted to note too that this is a pilot project to see how we can create and support innovation. So that's why it's a limited.
Yeah, it's a really good point, Sarah. I think, look, there's going to be a lot of learnings from this, folks, in terms of there's a real drive globally towards, supporting and driving innovation in the blue economy. And that's not just in Africa, that's globally. And I think it's really cool that GIZ and and the guys in OHA have a real focus on the blue economy sector and, you know, providing support for this. So this is one way, as I said earlier, there's no shortage of capital, there's shortage of great companies and great ideas, right, that are investable. That's where the bottleneck is. So initiatives like this is that if it's not there, let's go and create it, I think is a novel approach to this, and getting smart people in the same room, you know, trying to figure out how they're going to get somewhere is a place I'm always very comfortable in. And it's a place where Hatch and OHA have worked with teams trying to figure things out. So, you know, but bringing, you know, those people together with that kind of drive and ambition and intellect, married with experienced, savvy, you know, entrepreneurs and business people who know what it's like to do this, and hopefully the ultimate objective is giving these entities the best possible chance of flowering and, you know, blossoming and, you know, getting out there and making a real impact in the sector, which is very exciting for us.
Mm-hmm. A question we often get, so much so that we have it in the live chat from Anonymous, fittingly. How will we handle IP, intellectual property, and confidentiality?
Yeah. A really good question, and we will be covering off the topic of IP throughout the bootcamp. It's a very important area, and an area which is often very complicated unnecessarily. When we're going to build these entities or be part of supporting and building these entities, we're going to be a partner in this. So, you know, whatever you're building confidentially, Hatch gets, and I'm sure OHA gets, you know, applications from companies all over the world, you know, with ideas. And, you know, our ultimate objective is to help those ideas come to market and be, you know, build a company around it and raise investment. And we will support that, you know, anything that is shared within the program, the context of the program is certainly confidential with the team that we're talking in it. This whole thing, and it's a really good point that you're raising, Sarah, the whole thing about this environment that we hope to build between the bootcamp and the hybrid sessions is an area and an environment of trust, right? Whatever you guys say to us and what we share with you is based on trust and confidentiality. If we don't have that, folks, we're at nothing. Nothing is gonna, you know, get anywhere. And, you know, having that foundation is critical. So we will advise around IP. We'll bring in experts to discuss that and how that can be managed, like any startup company. But also whatever discussions are held with it between the context of the team and the program team with OHA, GIZ, and Hatch, everything is going to be treated on a confidential basis, and that's an absolute must.
Mm-hmm. Someone had a question about what types of investors will we be meeting?
I mean, there's a growing number of investors that are, you know, turning to the blue economy. They hear a lot about, you know, the opportunities with seaweed and climate and carbon sequestration and all those very juicy sound bites in the media. And it is attracting a lot of people who have no experience of investing in this space, and also married with investors who are very clued into the space, including an increasing number of corporate venture firms who are looking for new technologies and smart ideas for the sector. I think with a Hatch program and OHA involved, you're going to see a selection of different type of investors, ones who are super focused on the blue economy. Maybe some are focused on nutrition, some are focused on, you know, new farming technologies, sustainability. An important partner in this is going to be Conservation International and other NGOs in terms of their investing in the sector. So there'll be a broad variety of our network, certainly in OHA's network in terms of angel investors, but also venture firms and a host of others, high net worth individuals that may be attracted to come along and assist and maybe invest in some of these outputs and outcomes.
Mm-hmm. You went over what's involved in the program, the level of time commitment. What does Hatch and OHA think success looks like in regard to the Blue Venture Builder program?
Clearly, to me, it's 4 or 5 kick-ass companies with really smart ideas, with a team that's cohesive and ambition and passionate, and they've got the wherewithal to drive their idea or their solution forward. And they are an investable proposition where investors are interested, and they grow. I mean, we're trying to build companies, we're trying to build ventures, and Hatch has been quite successful in a couple of venture builds ourselves, in terms of an idea for the market and getting the right people in, and we funded those. And one of them has already exited, and I think they are really what we're ultimately looking for is to have those teams that investors have a healthy appetite for. And also we're bringing a really great solution, a technology solution, or an impact in the local community within which these teams are operating from. And obviously the impact from an African perspective, that there's real a solution-driven technology to kind of change the game and change the dial and improve the outcomes.
I think that segues into a good question we got from Angus, who I think is who has joined us today as well via email. They had a 2-part question. First part, do you foresee any challenges or bottlenecks regarding talent availability in the market to support the industry or business growth?
That's an effervescent question. It's always there's a lot of, particularly government regions, states around the world are all focusing on workforce development, and having the right skill set. So what do current seafood producers or farmers or blue economy ventures need? What kind of people do they need to grow and scale? And that's an ongoing challenge, not just in the blue economy, but in every sector. But I think, and I alluded to this a little earlier, what's really important for us is that we attract backgrounds, very diverse backgrounds, and talent to our sector. The engineers, the computer analysts, the data, crunchers, the geneticists, all types of the guys and girls with financial and marketing background. This is a sector, the fastest growing food sector in the world today, in terms of aquaculture at least. And we need a lot of diverse skill sets. It is always a challenge, and this is one solution to it, where we invite people from different backgrounds to one place, and we figure out, how we can sort or resource certain project ideas with the skill sets required to take that to town and beyond. So it's always a challenge, but this is a direct, I guess, reverse approach to talent challenges, in terms of we're directly looking for the talent first and then applying that to the solution. So this is a bit of a flip in it, and hopefully this will work.
The second part of Angus's question is, how can businesses be proactive to address talent shortages, attraction, retention, in order to support their growth and ambitions?
I wonder if Angus has even started. I don't think he'd even start thinking about those things at this stage. It's more just trying to get an idea that might work. And the core founding team, that's where I'd focus your energy now, Angus. As I say, unless you've got an already, an entity that's bombing along already. But I think just the initial co-founding team is critical. That's the foundation upon you'll build everything else. Every startup company has a challenge in attracting the right kind of people, but it's also building your culture, the energy of your organization, attracting the right kind of talent. And when people are excited about what you're doing and they feel the passion in your team, and the moon kind of focus, targeting the moon and back in terms of success, they're all factors that are going to, help you attract the right kind of people. And, I often pinch myself from a Hatch perspective. We've the guts of 40 people working for us globally. And I do have to pinch myself sometimes in terms of the quality and the kind of people that we've been able to attract. Present company included, of course. Always surprises me, but that's part of the building of a successful venture in terms of attracting the right kind of people to you. And we can certainly talk about that throughout the program. It's an important thing.
I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb here. We had a question from Marianne, and I responded to her via email, but I don't know, Praskovia or Wayne, if you want to, I'm curious how you would answer this. She wants to expand her fish cage business and join the program, but doesn't have a website or LinkedIn profile URL. Can she still apply?
What do you think,
I
Praskovia?
think she can still apply, because the idea is, whether you have a business or you're looking to expand your business and you're looking for any form of technical support, then you're going to get in the program.
But I think to add to that too, depending on where you are, right? You don't want to be, you need to be visible. No matter what business that you're building, right? You need to have a level of visibility. The internet has, pluses and minuses to it. On one hand, you got access to information anywhere, anytime. On the flip side of it, you never get a rest from it, and it's addictive. But I think from a business perspective, being able to have some level of visibility, particularly if you're raising money, an online presence, be it LinkedIn or whatever, is it's an important part of you building your network, and that's how people communicate a lot today. So marketing and social media will be obviously some core part of the discussion, and how you communicate with your audience is going to be a key part of the outputs from this program, because being able to market your company, your product, is in terms of driving revenue and traction, is super critical. But I don't care whether you have no visibility now. If you're selected at the end of it, you'll be super visible, and that's what you're going to need to do to build any kind of business these days. Hopefully that answered your question.
Definitely, yeah. 5 minutes to create your LinkedIn profile. Just go for it. We have quite a few more questions, and we just want to be cognizant of time. One is from Junaid. Is the program structured to accommodate those attending with a business idea different from those attending without a business idea? Or is it a single program for everyone?
It's a single approach for everybody, but some will come obviously with solutions, and that's okay. Maybe they're a little bit further along in terms of the development of that solution or that idea, and that's okay too. But at the end of it, we're looking to build about 10 teams, or company or focus ideas, working, some maybe simultaneously on the same challenge or problem. But we're looking for a variety of different ideas, some preset or people coming with ideas, and some coming just because they want to, build a business or be part of building something in the sector. They're also welcome. But we're going to be dealing all through that with our selection phase, when we come down to selecting the final 30 to 40 people.
And there's an element of entering as an individual and as an already formed team, right?
Yeah, some of the questions are interviews we've had already, Praskovia, right? Some guys and girls already have 2 or 3 people working on something, but they really want to connect with this initiative. It really hasn't taken off maybe as quickly as they want, and they need help. So those ideas also can be part of this. I mean, we're looking to build ventures, some from absolute scratch, and some maybe that are just teetering on the edges and need some support. But if you remember the question, what does success look like? It looks like 4 to 5 companies, 3 to 5 companies that are going to go on and scale and raise money out of this process.
How are the teams selected, and is the selection cast in stone to develop a business?
Yeah, good question. Um, it really is kind of a sense of, certainly the Hatch team, and I know the OHA team have worked with a lot of startups, a lot of entrepreneurs, and a lot of people. And we get a sense and experience of working on these innovation programs where you get a good feeling about some people. Some people, you've an energy, or you just look at their obviously skill set and experience and background. And I guess one of the reasons why OHA and Hatch are running this initiative on behalf of GIZ is because of our experience in selecting and working with talent globally, and being able to see potential opportunities with that talent in crystallizing and building a successful venture.
Last of our email submitted questions is from Clarge. I think I saw them in here as well. Our team is interested in understanding whether there is advice and exposure to legal structures, since we are a purpose-driven company and intersect on social as well as private sector approaches. We would love to see what others are doing and get more ideas of which path to take here.
Sure. There will be requirements and support needed for some projects that start out as a project to form into companies. Because you remember the output, right? We need 4 to 5 successful investable companies. And, in order to take on investment, you need to have a vehicle for that, a company registered, etc. So, yeah, I mean, we will be able to supply some advice and support in terms of doing that. And, I'd love to see 10 companies registered kicking out of this for sure in the various different countries that they emanate from. So, yeah, anything to do with building a business, guys, from scratch, is, where we're going to be able to be hopefully supporting you.
On that note, in the live chat, and we have about 4 minutes, so I just want to make sure we get to some of these maybe easier ones. Will there be site visits for the different value chain?
Depending, we're going to be quite select with that. We're going to spend probably at least a day visiting some venues around different types of farming in the region. Depending on the applicants and the kind of technologies, maybe some that are already formed, we can certainly facilitate maybe some visits to different sites. But I'm anticipating that a lot of people won't have any blue economy experience or aquaculture experience, or and they need to see and want to see some kind of activity or farm operation in the region. So but we can talk to them about, I mean, Hatch, as you know, Sarah, we've visited farms all over the world and different types of ventures, be it industry, feed, pharma, shrimp species, whatever it is, we've got a lot of knowledge on that.
Yeah, technology. We've had,
yeah.
Someone had a question, will our participation in another GIZ project affect the decision to have my team on board?
Not that I'm aware of, no. I'm not too familiar with other GIZ initiatives. But I don't think if the application and the people, and it's viable and it makes sense and they're good enough to be selected, this is a way of supporting those kind of initiatives, and maybe it can add different type of input and support that the other GIZ program they're attending. I don't know, but we can certainly flag it to Bernhard and his team and Olaf. If there is an issue with it, we can clarify it surely. But I don't anticipate it.
Okay. Ketty had a question. Is it possible for companies from Zambia to apply?
You see, I think all of Africa would love to apply, but this unfortunately is limited. This is a pilot. It's limited to those 7 countries for now. But I would urge you, whoever asked the question, to keep in touch with Proscovia in terms of, any support that we can certainly assist, and just keep in touch with her in terms of as maybe this pilot expands into something bigger, or they decide to take it on a different tack. We'll and maybe expand the region. We can reach back.
Okay, we're about out of time, and I'm not sure if it will automatically end.
Maybe one more question quickly.
Yeah, someone has a fish waste resources project that they're working on. Are they eligible? Are they an eligible applicant?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, right, Praskovia. But
Yeah.
sorry, I think I'm out of here. The alarm is going off.
Oh no.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good time to finish, guys. Thank you for your time, and please feel free to reach out to Praskovia if you have any further questions. And we'll be talking to those who've completed their application, so please get onto that. A nice meeting you. We'll be having another webinar next week. If there's any more questions, feel free to continue to pop them in to Sarah or Praskovia, and really looking forward to, seeing 30 to 40 people in a room in Cape Town, 2nd of May, where we can hopefully build some really cool ventures to, solve plenty of challenges that exist in that part of the world. So I'll leave it there. Sarah, Praskovia, thanks for joining us. OHA team there, thank you also for supporting all the work we've been doing so far, and really looking forward to getting to the end of the selection process in terms of applications closing the end of the month on the 29th. So get your applications in. If you think it's you, if you're going to be the one that's got a great idea or a passion to do something and have an impact, please make an application and let's be talking to you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a nice weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.